3, and they don't know what either one of them's talking about.
Robert knows a little bit about the Bible.
But
Not a lot, but he does know.
if you correct him, he gets very angry with you because he would read something, we would do Bible studies together, and he would read something, and he would give his interpretation of it. And I had read it enough and studied enough with you that I knew that it didn't mean that, and I would try to explain it to him in a way where he would understand what it really meant. Oh, no.
I don't want to hear the truth.
No, that's not what that means. So I gave up on him.
Okay, so what's the answer?
Why that they're following man or
Let me ask you. Who was the second person Satan converted?
Cain killed Abel. Right. I always get it mixed up which one killed my dad. It's a Cain.
And how did he convert him?
That he could offer what he wanted to offer instead of what was requested to be offered.
Yeah, but how did he convert him?
Converting from you're talking about the proper worship to the improper worship. Because of the think of himself instead of Christ.
All right, and how else? Why is it that Cain was so dead set against what his father taught?
Because he didn't show himself, just showed Christ. He never believed it.
Who was his father?
Adam.
Okay, what did Adam teach him?
Sacrifice of animals.
Okay, and if Adam taught the sacrifice of animals, why was Cain so dead set to offer vegetables?
He had a better way. He had a better way.
Better, yeah. That's now you're heading in the right direction. Well, how come his way was better?
Because it showed off himself. It showed of himself.
Well, of course, it glorified himself. What else? I went to. Yeah, and that glorified him. But why would he do that? I mean, he had enough sense to know. He didn't make the beans or the taters, and he didn't make the ground, and he was using somebody else's material to grow his food. So if he knew it was from somebody else, and that was God, because he had to believe that. There's no farmer that I ever know of that made a good atheist. But he had to see that it was God that produced the seed, made the soil, didn't need rain back in those days, and the food came from there. So why would Cain try to be offering what Cain produced with God's help?
putting himself away.
Yeah, he did. Why? Well, he did it his way, like Elvis, yeah.
Well, you say he didn't believe his dad. He didn't believe what he was taught.
But it was his daddy that taught him. Yeah, it does too. Now, I want you to think. Now listen to what I said. It was his daddy that taught him.
Talking about Satan? Okay. Well,
Adam.
maybe he figured Adam did it wrong, so he better change it and make it right.
You're missing part of the equation. Who was Satan's first convert? Very good. Do you think she just died off and went over and played snowbird? You think she just quit resisting and said, okay, God, I give up, you win?
Well, he saw that nothing really happened to his mother for diverting from what.
Did he know anything would have happened or had not? Was he around her? Did he have association and fellowship with her? They do. They weren't in the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was made for Adam and Eve, nobody else. And nobody else got to live there. Oh, they might have been born, but they didn't stay there long enough to plant their feet. They were not allowed to live there.
I
That
thought everything was fine and she bore children in the garden, that hence she realized the difference of the pain of childbirth after she sinned.
they might have begotten them there, and the reason that she had childbirth was because of the fact that she didn't sin. What did she do? Tried to convert Adam.
That was her sin.
Well, but it wasn't a sin.
No, it wasn't, but it was.
Why would she try to convert Adam?
Because she thought Satan had a better plan.
Okay, and why was Satan's plan better than God's?
You want to be the boss.
Very good. She's going to run the joint.
Yeah.
So if she was converting Adam and Adam wouldn't budge, what did she start on next? The kids. Now, you're talking about the children that were born or begotten, or the begattal took place. They were born in one place and maybe came from the womb in that place, but they never were allowed to live there. For instance,
Okay, but how did they grow to an age to be able to leave them?
well, you start 1, 2, 3. After a while, you're 10, 11, 15, 18. Get to 400 and 500. That'd be about the time they were teenagers.
Or unless they were born big enough to walk and talk or something.
Okay, when Adam was kicked out of the garden, what did Adam have to do?
He had to work for himself.
Work for why?
Because everything's been provided.
Exactly beforehand.
Sure.
Okay, so the ones in the Garden of Eden didn't have to work, didn't have to cut the grass, didn't have to. But what about the ones outside the garden?
There was no one outside.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, there were people that.
We had a whole city called Nod. And there was, from what we can understand, a whole bunch of dudes lived there. Landscaping business? Is that what Nod was?
That's your relatives, there.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't even have gas mowers.
They were Migos.
Now, wait a minute, where'd these people come from? Yeah, or as soon as they came, they were born, they were put out of the garden. Why?
But if they came from something, they lived somewhere. So they came from the origin. They lived there.
If she's the mother of all, they had to.
They know if she is, and they've even proven that now in another way.
Okay, so then they had to have been
Begotten.
grown.
There's a
and
difference
left.
in being begotten and being born.
They was made in the garden, begotten outside.
So,
Why not?
Well,
but if she,
the only one
if
that
she's,
knows how long Jerry first was.
but if she's the mother of all, then she had to have had them, however we want to say it. They had to have grown up and they had to have left. So they had to have known the garden, unless there was like a forgetful gate that you went out and you forgot.
Y'all ever watched animal husbandry?
No.
You ever watch birds?
Yeah, but Adam was made better than the animals. So was he.
Where did the animals? Where did the animals get the rules and regulations?
That's by God.
Very good. So, and the same God that made the animals made the human, and the same attributes that an animal had at that time was the same as the human. When you go and look into animal, oh no,
He made man higher than animals.
oh, I didn't say he didn't make him higher. I was saying the attributes.
Man can sin, animals cannot. So there's a big difference.
Agreed, but we're talking about attributes, his way of existence, his way of living, his concept of thought, his mannerisms.
In procreation, yeah, it's the same act, but the intent is not.
You threw him that time, Bobby.
I don't dig it. Well, in other words, why? Let's take robins. You ever watch robins? Where do robins put their birds' nest? Why don't they just carry them with them in the house?
They don't have houses. They don't have houses. They have nests.
Are they where the robins stay?
There's no.
Do they come in and say, "Move over, elbow room, Clyde Robin Bloom"? When animals have calves, where do the calves stay?
With the mother.
Yeah, but when they stay with the mother, do they sleep with her? Do they live in her house? Or are they separated from her? See, humanity,
They stay with her.
they don't stay where she is. She comes and visits. She feeds them. She does these things and all those other things. But they don't live in the same place, in the house.
So Eve or the children took them out of the garden and would go and check on them? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
yeah, just like the animals. Does it work? There's a whole bunch of them around.
Lions stay with their young.
Who?
The cubs stay with the mothers for their entire life.
The cub does not stay and sleep in the wigwam.
It sleeps in the same tent the mother sleeps in along with
That's not the same place.
the wolves. So the bears, so the wolves and bears, yeah, they stay in the same caves.
They do not stay in the same house. The procreation activity of animals was that which was pictured in the mind of God.
I don't know, I lived on a farm up in Missouri, and those little kids that hang tight right beside their mother, born in the garden.
They would, and they lived there, but they didn't live in the same place. They were in a different place of existence. They were taken care of. They were fed. They were husbanded, and they were, if the mother and the calf got in a snowstorm, what happened to the calf?
They slept together to keep each other warm. They hung them together.
So,
What's Google say?
Basic instinct.
they'd freeze. Yeah, what's Google say? The calf would freeze to death.
They put the calf in the middle of the herd and now.
Oh, they did. They said, round up the wagons and bring all the little dudes in. Man, I don't know what book you've been reading. You ever watched Animal Husband? You ever husband animals? You know, if a snowstorm came and the animals were out, who died?
Adults, because they'd be trying to keep the younger ones warm.
You must have gone to the liberal society that I never went to.
I sat there and I watched the penguins on that geonet.
Let's get back to
They
Cain and
keep the
Abel.
little ones warm so when the big ones all freeze off.
You went to the liberal zoo?
Yeah.
The liberals.
Zoo of Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, that was rough.
Animal husbandry shows an art by which man came into and was sustained. It was not the same as what we have today. Do you realize that the way we treat our children and the way we were raised, fortunately, most of us, is the same way Christ loved the church?
But in animal husbandry, most
Let me show you something.
most
Tur-
males do the business and then they go on about the tribe. Now, in human husbandry,
You're sitting next to your wife.
That's right, he's picking his words just right.
What happens at your house, Bob? Tell us.
it's more like dog years.
Easy does it.
Why do you think I noticed that Jordan memorized the verse and she's quoting it? Ephesians 6:1. Everybody know what that says besides me?
Yes, children obey your parents.
Yeah, I give Katie a dirty look at that. I can't-
And what does verse 2 say?
This is all good.
Honor
Honor thy father and thy mother, because this was the first commandment.
that it may be
Well with thee.
that thou mayest,
Live long on the earth.
or as the Old Testament says, on the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. All right. Now, and ye fathers. Why is it that God stipulated that the head of the house was the father, not the father and the mother? That was his order. God established things by order.
Sure.
Okay, what was the order of Cain's home? Adam was the head.
Had her way, she-
Yeah, no, but Eve didn't have her way. But did that mean Eve quit trying?
no.
You know
We don't know, but we could only assume that didn't break the habit.
You don't think Cain rebelled because his younger brother was trying to tell him what to do?
I think Cain rebelled because he was given some information on the side that didn't do him any good. And I think it came from a source that had rebelled and had caused some confusion and misunderstanding that nobody ever has really considered. Somebody taught the boy, set the example, gave the attitude, put things in motion.
Sometimes people have perfect examples and they still go astray. There don't have to be a reason.
Yes, there is a reason. Something alters the mind or the way of thinking.
Or the people just hadn't done it. Or the people who just hadn't done it.
People just hadn't.
A dud.
A dud. Where's the dud come from?
Somewhere back, I don't know.
Okay, and so how far you go back to get to the source of the dud? Now let's read a minute. Turn to Ephesians, the 5th chapter. There's something here that we need to look at. I don't guess we'll ever get to this subject, but that's all right. This is more interesting.
You know, Richie's got a wrinkle in everything.
Richie's fault, yeah.
No, my point is, there are people that have the same opportunities, same father and mother,
Totally different.
and are completely different. Why?
Amen, brother.
There's a reason. I want us to read, and I'll show you. Let's start with verse 27.
27.
Yeah, 5:27.
That he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. Keep going.
Yeah, because this is the next verse where I'm wanting to stop for a minute.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies.
Why would he say that? If there wasn't a need, if there wasn't a problem that he's correcting, what would be the effect? It's always been something that we've understood that man and woman watch the movies in Hollywood. And the movies in Hollywood is that everybody tries to be enrapturous with everybody's girl, wife, sister, whatever. In other words, they all think that they're out to involve themselves in something that doesn't belong to them. In the ancient days, do you know why Easter came along?
That was the end of the Passover, wasn't it?
No. Easter was an orgasm that was brought about for sexual orgies so that men and women would be involved in sexual activity. Why did they have to come up with something like this?
Because that was Baal, right?
Yeah, but that's humanity. Yeah. But why did they have to do that? Why didn't they turn on the TV and see Hollywood? Because it's instinctive to do that, they say. Did anybody have to teach the Hollywood to the rabbits? Oh, you don't know what they knew. You don't. I got a couple in my house. Come and get them. You can watch them. You know what I'm saying? It's not instinctive. What we think in our home, in our society, by the way Christ established in the church, the home is a completely different thing than it was. It wasn't cornflakes in the morning, hamburgers in the noon, and macaroni and cheese and everything in the evening. Those kids most of the time went to bed hungry.
Well, that like when I was a kid growing up, now, I don't know if you've done it that way. We ate a great big breakfast, had a lunch, and then whatever was left over from lunch is what we had for dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I was raised, and I still do that today.
So, what's your question?
Society has totally changed.
Yes.
Well,
And it's changed because of Christ.
sure.
And to assume that it was not that way before, what you do is watch the animal kingdom. They picture what Adam and Eve probably lived. Now, Eve wasn't this little sexy bunny that went around and got everything she wanted because of her body. Bluntly, Adam could have cared less about her body. He did not have that instinct that was indwelled him by Hollywood. I'm telling you, you don't appreciate the atmosphere that Hollywood has made for this country. You never saw what you see today as a common practice back in the 1700s or 1800s.
Well, sure.
Why has it changed? We have been indoctrinated. We have been altered. We've been changed. Now, back to where we all got started. The Garden of Eden was made for Adam and Eve. Bluntly, it was made for Adam, and since she was half Adam, that's where she got to stay. The rest of the people didn't get to live there.
Well, she was brought into existence because he needed a helpmate.
It could have been, and what she helped him do.
He saw in all the other animals and stuff in the garden, each one had a mate.
I don't believe there was ever any animals in the Garden of Eden. No. I think if you'll read and study and look at the description, the Garden of Eden was a perfect spot that God is like a honeymoon thing, and that's where He made it for Adam and Eve, and nobody else got to inhabit it. And if you were found in there, you might have been destroyed.
But didn't Adam name all the?
So was he allowed to leave the garden?
Oh, yeah.
He was allowed to leave the
They were outside the Garden of Eden. And do you think the Garden of Eden was 50 or 100 miles long? Or do you think it was a place that they did? Well, the way it's described, it wasn't that really large a place.
It's like probably 10 acres.
It's like their bedroom.
So they came out.
So they cohabited in the bedroom, had the babies, and they all lived outside. They weren't in the Garden of Eden. And as they were outside from the Garden of Eden, they developed habits and stuff that they learned from each other and were developing in that sense, just like the animal kingdom.
I thought the whole garden was like an entire peninsula. I didn't know how big it was. I didn't know it was over 10 acres. It doesn't say how big it was.
They claim it. What did tell Google? It's got to.
Google doesn't say anything the Bible does, though.
Oh.
It says here.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, your source of authority has picked up. Yeah.
Chapter 2, verse 19 of Genesis.
Go.
It says, and out of the garden the Lord God formed every beast, which means there should have been animals in the garden, right?
No. Read it again.
Out of
It
the
says,
garden.
and out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them.
Oh, he did what to him?
He brought them out of the
And said, "Move over, boy. They're coming in."
he said, hey, you can name them.
Well, but that's not what it says. He brought them to him.
In the
He
garden.
said, out of the ground, and out of the ground, doesn't that mean out of the ground in the garden?
No.
Because
You think that all the ground was the Garden of Eden?
it also says here that the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, so it's still setting place in the Garden of Eden. We don't
So
know
let's
what
scale the garden was.
Well, but Adam was formed out of the ground, thus the ground was a third of the ground, and placed in the garden.
Was he placed in the Garden
Yes.
of Eden? Does
Yeah.
it say that?
Yep.
I believe it does.
And he put man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight. And it continues on. It says, and the river went out of Eden to water the garden. And from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads.
So is the Garden of Eden the same place? Doesn't sound like it does.
But if the river waters Eden, Eden's more than 10 acres big.
I never was there.
I've never seen a 10-acre swamp.
So that proves
It's
the
usually
point you
bigger
were
than
saying
that.
about.
What I understand by the description is that Eden was the most gorgeous, beautiful, picturesque. It was the perfect place for man. And God only provided it for Adam. Eve came in because she was part of Adam's life. Nobody else was allowed there. Now,
Are you saying that the Eden and the garden were two different places?
yeah.
Okay, well, that clarifies a lot what you've been saying.
So now let's listen to the second Adam,
Eden was the land the garden was in.
Eden.
Eden was the land, like Florida. So Eden would have been.
But let's look at the second Adam.
Or was the garden a part of Eden?
In Matthew 13:46, it's talking about the merchantman gave all that he had to purchase all the pearls he could get in his room.
Okay.
He purchased one pearl. One. You mean to tell me there weren't pearls out there as beautiful as her? You mean to tell me that was the most selected pearl that in existence? He only had one. The church is one. That's what I was going to read you in Ephesians 5, and this is where we were going. But what I'm showing you, that the law, which we don't understand of marriage, was changed and altered by Christianity, because for the first time it was commanded that a man love his wife.
Well, I was going to say that. Obviously, Paul's addressing this to the Ephesians because they weren't doing that. The woman, they were still treating women as second.
They didn't love them.
Okay.
I mean, listen, folks, look at the Muslim world today. How do they think of the woman?
Shadow.
Property.
Not even a good cow.
So he had to instruct the Ephesians to love their wives. He had to tell them to do that.
That's correct.
Okay.
They didn't know what to do with her.
Well,
And they treated her with an inferiority that was embarrassing to her creation. So God changed the rules, and we just assume that it's always been this way. Now this is Travis's favorite verse, although he doesn't exegete it properly. But look at the 21st verse of the 5th chapter.
Travis, don't you have it memorized?
No.
submitting yourself one to another in the fear of God.
Yeah, submit yourselves one to another. But what did Paul have to write to the brethren in Corinth and tell them they had to do? Turn to 1 Corinthians 7. While we're on the subject, and I guess you can just kill this one because we won't even put this out over the air, because this is not even on the subject.
Man's the one that has changed these. I say that God intended for man and woman to be fair and equal.
No, see, this is all a picture of perfection that is Christ in the church.
Jewish hierarchy
First
is the
verse
one
of
that changed
Corinthians
that.
7 is.
Oh, they might have.
Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to.
Yeah, but let's just skip down to verse 5. Defraud ye.
Ye not one the other.
Now, what does that mean?
Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, don't steal from something. Don't take what doesn't belong to you. Don't steal. Who's doing the thievery? Keep reading.
Except it be with the consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer. And
Okay, now what does he mean about the person who steals? Look at verse 4.
the wife hath not power of her own body.
That's not the way of the world.
And likewise also the husband hath not power of his own.
That's not the way of the world. What do they tell you? If mama ain't happy, there ain't nobody happy.
This is the verse where the husband can't come home and say, I'm too tired, and the wife can't say, I have a headache.
That's one way to look at it. Yes, ma'am.